Okay, it's a quick video for myself, Harvey Goldman. No cuts, no edits, no filters, and no hair. So today's video, are we heading for a new lost generation? So it's no secret, the UK, it feels like it's on track to abandon a whole generation. Stick around, I'm gonna explain to you why today's young people could face a future far worse than their parents, and also what we, as the older generation, are able to do about it. So young people in Britain, they basically face skyrocketing rents. They've got stagnant wages. They've got ridiculous levels of inflation, insecure jobs and the lack of jobs, and a mental health crisis that's the worst, really, the UK's ever seen in all of its years. The signs of a lost generation, it's already here. So you're going to finish this video with a clear picture of how Britain is utterly failing its youth, why this matters for all of us, and the actions that can absolutely prevent this disaster. So youth unemployment, let's start there. Nearly 12% of 16 to 24-year-olds are out of work in 2025. Now that's an alarming figure in itself. That's over 1 in 10. You've got housing blockades, where home ownership is out of reach for most people under 35, let alone those under 20. Rent is basically swallowing up over 50% of their income in most cases, which makes getting on the housing ladder an absolute dream. And short of a lottery win, an inheritance windfall, it's just never going to happen for most people, sadly. And that is the reality. The mental health crisis that goes with this, NHS waiting lists for young people's mental health and the services attached, they stretch into years. Now, I was waiting 2 years just to get a 20-minute hernia operation done. The list and the wait for a young person to get just a chat with somebody about their mental health can be 18 months or so. Now, I was never going to lose my life. I could have waited 3, 4, 5 years for my hernia. I could have done. People very often just don't get them fixed, and they're fine. Nothing happens. But mental health, I mean, come on, let's be real about this. If somebody's in a bad way and their mental health is suffering, they need that conversation that could save their life ASAP. But they're waiting 18 months for it. That's a long time if you're genuinely, in a crisis. And it's unacceptable. There's an education to work gap where basically degrees used to guarantee pretty well paid jobs. That was the whole point of getting a degree. Now it's almost just like a bucket list thing. Like you go and get your degree just to say you've done it. It's part of the vanity checklist. It no longer guarantees a good job. It no longer guarantees any job. Many graduates, despite getting themselves tens of thousands, if not much, much more into debt after their 3 to 5 years at uni, are stuck in the same crappy, insecure, low-wage jobs that those that don't go to university and get into debt take. And they're finding that their starting wages are still around 25 to 26, 27 grand a year, which is awful. It's basically minimum wage. So you come out of your university degree, having passed all that time, all that money, and you're getting the same crappy job as somebody that's never even been and not taking on any of that burden. What's the point? Makes no sense. There is a social trust breakdown with all of this. So obviously the disillusionment with government, and I think we've all got quite a bit of that right now, and also the NGOs and the institutions, and all the promise of hard work paying off and all that absolute BS they spin. It creates social anxieties. It creates basically a generation of people that just feel disenfranchised with everything. And based on that, why should they try? So what does this mean for everybody else? Well, let's face it. This is the future of the UK that we're talking about. I'm not the future of the UK. I'm totting along in the present. I've got a future, but what I do in my next 20, 30, whatever years it might be, is probably not going to impact the UK in a very significant way. Whereas the generation perhaps two below me, the Gen Zs and the millennials, well, they've got 50 years of working life almost ahead of them, 45 years ahead of them. They have got a genuine chance to make a real impact if they've got the opportunity and if they're not burdened by everything else in order to do so. So we should be looking after them. They are our future at the end of the day. How can we reverse it? Well, for a start, we need policy change. We need perhaps union organising again. Most importantly, we need financial education. We need community building, and much of this is gone. Financial education just doesn't happen in most schools anyway. Community building, communities have just been destroyed, if not by the pandemic in 2019 and 2020, but it's been going downhill a very long time, and I've seen a lot of it just in my area, where there is no local community. Maybe there is amongst the very old, amongst those few retirees that are left in the area, but for the generations below that, it's gone. They don't have a sense of community. People are very nomadic. They don't stay in the same houses for 10, 20, 30 years or have generations pass through the same house. They just don't. People are very nomadic now. They stay in a house for 2 or 3 years, bin it and sell it off and buy another one. And that's just the way it is. They move around with work. They move around. They have, kids, far more kids, and then therefore need to upgrade their homes faster. Or it might be due to economic circumstances. Perhaps they're downsizing, whatever it might be. But people move around the country. They're they're much more mobile, if you like, due to work, housing, family, and financial commitments. Far so more than they were, even 30 years ago, let alone anything further back. And we need to build side hustles as individuals, and we need to call out these broken systems that don't serve us. These systems that we operate in that are archaic, that are created by government masters to serve themselves and serve their own people. The landed gentry, as it were. They don't serve Joe Public, and the processes they create don't serve Joe Public. It's there to make life basically as difficult as possible. It does seem that poor people get taxed as a punishment, and rich people, if they get taxed, it's almost a reward, isn't it? It's backwards. But look, we need to basically sort this out. We need to protect the future generations that are coming up through the UK. We need to give them the guidance they need to navigate the BS that all the rest of us have been through. We need to make sure that they can take advantage of every opportunity they've got to have the best shot in a world and a British government that seems to increasingly stack the odds against them. What are your thoughts on this? If you've got kids, what do you teach your kids? I know that I've taught mine about the value of money and how money works within my limited experience of it, but I've done my best to do that, and I feel that that's all I can do. But look, really interested to find out, as parents, as peers, what are your thoughts on this? Drop it in the comments, let me know. So YouTube's going to pop another video there. I'm going to go off and die in the heat, and another video tomorrow. Like, follow, subscribe. Goldman. Peace out.